From the NFL trying to shut down controversial research findings to jaw-dropping fines and even temperature extremes at the Super Bowl, this is a journey you don't want to miss. Today, we'll be looking at 10 things you didn't know about the NFL, and they're definitely not black and white. Let's kick this off with what Fred Warner's wife told the world. Recently, Sydney Warner tried to share these surprising revelations with her 64.2 thousand TikTok followers. She spilled the beans, starting with the fact that the NFL WAGs, wives and girlfriends have to pay for their own tickets. Can you believe it? They don't even get a VIP treatment. But wait, there's more. Sydney revealed that on the night before every game, players have to sleep alone, no matter where they are. Yep, no cuddling with their significant others, whether it's an away game or even a home game. And here's the kicker, Niners players have a strict curfew of 10:30 p.m. on game eve. The coaching staff even conducts a bed check to make sure everyone is in their assigned sleeping quarters. It's all about controlling the environment and avoiding any distractions. Some might say it feels a bit like a prison, don't you think? But that isn't the only shady move that the league's famous for. I mean, do you know of the time the NFL tried to shut down some research findings because it made them look bad? Once upon a time in 2002, there was a brilliant brain expert named Dr. Bennett Amalu, and Dr. Amalu didn't know a thing about football at the time, but he had this insatiable curiosity, a burning desire to uncover the mysteries behind the tragic decline of Mike Webster, the legendary lineman lying motionless beneath him. You see, after retiring from the sport a decade earlier, Webster's life had spiraled into chaos. Fast forward a bit, our hero Dr. Amalu became the very first doctor to connect the dots between head injuries suffered by players and a terrifying brain disease now known as chronic traumatic encephalopathy, or CTE for short. Quite the achievement, huh? After publishing his findings in 2005, Dr. Amalu thought that the NFL would be all ears, eager to learn about the risks that players faced, including depression, drug abuse, and even suicidal behavior, all because of those pesky subconcussive blows to the head. But oh boy, was he wrong! The NFL didn't exactly roll out the red carpet for our hero. Instead, they spent years attacking his credibility, doing everything they could to undermine his research, and demanding retractions when his groundbreaking discoveries became public. And even though they did their best to hush it up, they still ended up paying millions in lawsuits for the same reason. To be exact, $765 million! You know what won't cost millions? Subscribing to the channel. Subscribe right now for free to stay updated on the wildest NFL content. Back to the millions of dollars in lawsuits. In the thrilling year of 2013, something big happened in the world of the NFL. So here's how it went down. After 2 months of intense negotiations, the NFL finally reached a settlement with over 4,500 former players who had filed a joint lawsuit regarding those pesky concussion-related injuries. You see, these brave former players stood up for themselves, and after some back and forth, the NFL finally came to their senses and agreed to settle the matter. Now let's break it down. This settlement meant that the NFL acknowledged its role in the players' injuries and decided to provide some compensation and support. It was a significant step towards recognizing the long-term effects of concussions and ensuring that the players received the care they deserved. But the league shutting down Dr. Amalu's research didn't really come off as a surprise, considering how they have a pattern of hiding their wrongdoings. For instance, take the example of Kareem Hunt. In the whirlwind of 2020, the Kansas City Chiefs defied the odds and clinched the title, despite wrestling with numerous off-field issues. But before that epic showdown, the Chiefs had their fair share of drama with many players. First, there was Tyreek Hill, whose troubles had the potential to embroil Kansas City. Oh boy, was it quite a roller coaster ride for the team. And then there was Kareem Hunt, who put the Chiefs in an incredibly tough spot. In November 2018, a video emerged showing him assaulting a woman in a hotel, leading to his release from the team. Shocking, right? Now get this, despite the whole incident being as clear as day on video, Hunt somehow managed to snag a job with the Browns not long after. The NFL seemed to downplay the severity of the situation, which left many scratching their heads. Fans were super curious why they would try to brush such a huge thing under the table like that. And if that surprised you, wait until you hear about this crazy rule the league has. Apparently, it's mandatory for the players to work out. A surefire way to accumulate some hefty fines in your early NFL career, missing those mandatory workouts. Just like the strict penalty imposed on players who skip important meetings with team executives or medical staff, failing to show up for training sessions, workouts, or camps will hit you hard in the wallet. Now let's break it down. If you dare to skip out on a minicamp, brace yourselves for a whopping $70,000 fine. Yeah, you read that right, and if that's not enough, there's an additional $30,000 fine waiting for you depending on the circumstances. Ouch. But wait, it gets even worse. If a player fails to report to camp by the allotted time, they're in for a real loss. You know what they lose? An accrued season. Can you imagine the impact that can have on their career? Talking about outrageous rules, there's also one that says they can't have any signs or logos on their sportswear. The players are allowed to rock some fancy designs on their kicks, but hold your horses. It's only during warm-up time. Now, here's how this rule came to be. Back in 2015, our pal D'Angelo Williams stepped onto the field with a heartwarming message on his eye blacks, showing love and support for his mom, a brave breast cancer survivor. He boldly declared, "Find the cure," but guess what? The bigwigs of the league weren't too thrilled and gave him a hefty fine of almost $6,000 for breaking the rule. Ouch. They sure know how to keep things interesting, don't they? But they defend themselves by saying that they have the players' interests at heart while making these rules. Just like the time they moved the goalpost all for the players. Back in the day, the field goal posts in the NFL were planted right on the goal line in front of the end zone. It sounds absolutely crazy now, and trust me, it caused some serious havoc. Players would get blindsided and crash into these posts, resulting in some gnarly injuries. And to top it off, kicking field goals was a piece of cake, making teams less inclined to take risks and go for touchdowns. Not exactly a recipe for an exciting game, right? But fear not, my friend, the NFL realized they need to make a change. Commissioner Rozelle stepped in and made a bold move. They decided to move the goalpost to the back of the end zone and raise them up a bit, and guess what? It worked wonders. This brilliant ruling prevented injuries and gave teams more incentive to go for the glorious touchdowns. It was like a breath of fresh air for the game. Players had more space to maneuver, avoiding those painful collisions with the post. And let me tell you, the excitement level skyrocketed as teams became more daring in their quest for 6 points. But no matter how many safety precautions they take, sometimes the league just can't stop casualties from taking place, like the NFL Commissioner Bert Bell incident. Imagine this, it was October 11, 1959, a day that would forever be etched in football history. Bert, a diehard fan, found himself in the stands at Philadelphia's Franklin Field, eagerly watching his beloved two teams, the Eagles and the Steelers, battle it out on the field. Little did he know that this day would be his last. In a twist of fate, Bert suffered a fatal heart attack right there, amidst the exhilaration and intensity of an NFL game. It seemed almost fitting, in a bittersweet way, that he would depart this world while immersed in the very sport that had consumed his entire life. You see, Bert was a true football enthusiast. Pro football was his passion, his reason for being. He had dedicated countless hours to following the Eagles and the Steelers, supporting them with unwavering loyalty. For him, being present in an NFL game, witnessing the players' athleticism and the thrill of the competition was a way of life, and he passed away doing the thing that he loved the most. But the death of an NFL commissioner at an NFL game isn't the only weirdest fact about the league. I mean, this next one about the balls had me stunned. During the NFL season, a whole lot of footballs are in play. Would you believe that it takes a whopping 3,000 cows, yes, 3,000, to provide enough leather for those game balls that quarterbacks grip tightly every Sunday? That's a whole lot of bovine contribution. Remember when the NBA made their switch to synthetic basketballs a while back? Well, perhaps the NFL should consider something similar. I mean, think about it. Countless cows are being sacrificed left and right just to get through a single NFL season. It might be time to explore some more sustainable options that don't involve our four-legged friends. But hey, who am I to suggest changes in America's favorite sport? The NFL has its own ways, traditions, and quirks, and as long as there's steak lovers and leather enthusiasts out there, the demand for that premium cowhide will remain. And finally, brace yourselves, because this last one is downright crazy. Did you know that the hottest and coldest Super Bowls are just a year apart? First up, we had Super Bowl VI, where things took a chilly turn. The temperature plummeted to a bone-chilling 39 degrees Fahrenheit, which is roughly 4 degrees below Celsius. Brr, can you imagine watching the big game in such freezing conditions? It definitely called for some extra layers and hot beverages. But hold on tight, because the very next year, Super Bowl VII turned up the heat. The mercury soared to a scorching 84 degrees Fahrenheit, equivalent to about 29 degrees Celsius. That's a whole lot of sun and sweat. Talk about a drastic change from the frosty game just a year prior. It's like Mother Nature decided to play a little game of her own. Now that you know those 10 things, let me tell you one more. NFL legends spend their millions on the most insane things. Check out this video to hear it all.